Do you ever pick up your phone for just a minute and suddenly 45 minutes are gone? You've absorbed hundreds of tiny pieces of information, but somehow feel more scattered, less focused, less creative, more overstimulated. Is it time for a social media detox? Welcome to ADH Different Strategies. I'm Julie Legg, your host, author of The Missing Piece, and an ADHD advocate. Over the years, I've had the privilege of speaking with incredible guests, unpacking real life strategies, mindsets, and tools for navigating ADHD. This bite-sized series brings those insights together, short, practical, and ready to use. There's a really honest conversation I had with Hafsa Ahmad on the ADH Difference podcast about social media, attention, and what happened when she stepped away from the scroll. Because Hafsa didn't just notice less distraction, she noticed more focus, more calm, and more creativity. Before we get into it, I'm going to let Hafsa explain part of this in her own words.
I quit all social media for about a year, and instead I tried to read. It'll tell you it takes like 7 hours to finish a book. It's like, okay, well, I was on social media 7 hours, so I could just break it up over a week. And my mind worked again. I became more creative. I could focus better. I was happier. That I didn't realize that just the act of practicing focusing is really enough. And to stop doing something bad for you, if you can't start doing something good, stop doing something bad. It really transformed everything. And that's I highly recommend anyone with ADHD, don't be on that stuff all day. It's not helping your attention span at all.
For ADHD brains, social media can almost feel impossible to resist. And that's not accidental. ADHD brains are wired for novelty, new information, new stimulation, new reward. And social media platforms are designed to deliver exactly that. Endless scrolling, instant feedback, constant stimulation. It's dopamine on demand. But over time, that constant input can come at a cost. And Hafsa noticed that when she stepped away from social media for a year, something shifted. She read more, focused more, created more. And most importantly, her mind became quieter. Research increasingly shows a connection between high levels of social media use and difficulties with attention, emotional regulation, and ADHD like symptoms. Studies have found that heavier engagement with digital media is associated with increased inattention and reduced cognitive control over time. And for ADHDers especially, problematic or compulsive social media use is significantly more common because the ADHD brain naturally seeks stimulation. So, when an app delivers novelty every few seconds, the brain learns to expect constant reward. And slowly, sustained attention becomes harder. Reading feels harder. Stillness feels harder. Long form thinking feels harder. But when we reduce that constant stimulation, the brain has space to recalibrate. A social media detox isn't punishment, it's recovery. And when we constantly interrupt our attention, we train the brain for fragmentation. But when we create moments of depth, whether it be reading, walking, making, sitting with one thing, we slowly rebuild attentional endurance. A social media detox is especially useful when you can't focus on longer tasks anymore, when you feel pulled towards your phone constantly, when your creativity feels blocked, when you notice emotional dysregulation after scrolling, or when your brain simply feels noisy, because sometimes what looks like laziness is actually overstimulation. So, how do you actually begin? Start small. You don't need to delete everything forever. Try logging out of one app for 24 hours. That's enough to start noticing patterns. Replace the scroll. If you remove stimulation, the brain will look for something else. So give it something nourishing: a book, music, hobby, a walk. Use friction intentionally. App blockers, timers, focus apps, anything that interrupts the automatic reach. Track how you feel. Not perfectly, just notice. Do you feel calmer, more focused, less emotionally flooded? And then reintroduce intentionally, because this isn't about shame, it's all about boundaries. Maybe social media returns, but with more awareness, more limits, and more choice. Social media isn't bad, but ADHD brains are especially vulnerable to environments designed to capture attention. So reclaiming focus sometimes means reclaiming your inputs, protecting your attention, protecting your stillness, and protecting your ability to think deeply again. For ADHD brains that thrive on novelty, social media can feel like fuel until it becomes noise. And sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is step back long enough to hear ourselves think again. You don't need to disappear from the world, just create enough space for your focus to return home. A big thanks again to Hafsa Ahmad for sharing this perspective and for being part of the broader ADHD difference conversation. If you'd like to hear more from that episode, head over to our main series. You'll be looking for season 2, episode 27, to hear more of her ADHD insights. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. For more practical tools for beautifully different brains, hit the subscribe button.